everybody. Welcome to the Geeks Book Club. I am Felicia Day.
Oh, I'm Bonnie Burton.
Sorry, I didn't even tell you I was going to introduce you like that. Sorry, Bonnie.
Okay.
And we are so excited to be here. We have a monthly book club that we do live on my Discord for Geeks members. If you'd like to become a Geeks member, go to discord.gg/Felicia Day and go to the Geeks info channel to get all the information you need to join. It's a 45-step process. I'm sorry. It is
an obstacle course.
I feel like this it is a social token and it is just a little complicated and I'm working on trying to simplify it. I'm building out a website with the help of Rally. So a lot of things will be coming down the pipe in the next month. Just know that if you join, you get a weekly live hangout. You are going to hopefully get more stuff going down the line and just be part of a cool crew. So, welcome everybody. Bonnie, how are you this week? This month?
Good. I need to take advantage of all the sections of your Discord because there's a lot of cool message boards and stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's a
I've been doing
creativity one.
There's a
There's
creativity, there's
and
a channel for
accountability.
exactly. There's a creativity for sharing your creativity, but there's also a
Yeah,
accountability.
yeah. There's a bunch of cool. I'm not a huge video game person, but I do love tabletop games. And I write for a tabletop game company. So that I should probably get on there and see if there's any Hunt a Killer fans over there.
Probably there are. No, we have a really good group of people. If you just look at the, introductions channel, you will see people all ages around the world, just wonderful, really interesting. I love seeing people's biography. I get intimidated. Some people are like, "I
You
have all these things I do."
you have a personal finance section?
Yes, I didn't know we had a personal finance
What?
section. Wow, this has been
I'm
my
like,
problem the whole time.
well, I'm like, that whole millennials can't buy houses because they spend too much money on avocado toast.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
the Gen Xer that spends all our money on Postmates. So
Yeah.
I don't own a house.
Well,
Um,
I have to tell you, I just looked at my credit card bill to see
uh-oh.
what was going on, and a lot's going on there. Not in a good way.
Yeah, but you have real money coming in. I have some people buy my book every once in a while, money coming. I don't have.
I never got any extra money for my books. I would love to get a
Oh,
royalty
you're not
check for a
getting
book.
royalty? My royalty checks are kind of like the checks that you get when you're residual checks for under $5.
Oh, for under $5, yeah, that's what I get. Believe me, Bonnie, you live in LA, you know that everything is relative, right? I feel
Yeah.
like I do pretty well for myself,
Yep.
but in LA terms, I am a scrub, so it's okay.
You and I both aren't like Seth Green, who has a compound.
Yeah, I know. There's no compound here. I have a
Yeah.
modest house, and I'm okay with that. Honestly, if anything that old age has taught me is that if you're satisfied where you are, then that's exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the richest person on earth wants more.
Yeah, nobody's ever
Elon Musk.
content. Well, yeah, that sort of drive is super, super toxic.
Yeah. I'm not going to spend $1 zillion on a rocket to go up sort of in space to
I know.
wave at people and then crash down. That just, if I had
I,
Bezos money, that's not what I would be. I would be doing full on Ukraine, rescue missions and stuff.
there's a lot that I would be doing
You know
with
what I
my
mean?
money
I
if
would
I had that
build
much money.
a
But
mecha
I
robot. I'd
I
build a
think it's
mecha robot.
exactly. I think if you get to that point where you're literally that rich and you
Yeah,
wanna get richer, then you kinda have something wrong with your brain.
I agree. I agree.
But,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I,
cast stones. I'm just gonna be me,
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
happy,
But
being
if
what I'm
either
doing.
of us wants, if either of us becomes suddenly really Bezos rich,
Yeah.
we still have to account. We should start a new section on your Discord that's Bezos rich accountability.
Okay, so any future billionaires, if you'd like to sort of
Yeah.
speculate with how you would behave if you suddenly got 9 zeros behind your name, please go to the Discord. Billionaire speculation
Yeah. But to answer your
hashtag.
question, I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing fine.
Mhm.
Still have a job, still have my health. Say with the book, I have 2 pages of notes I wrote down.
Bonnie, can I talk about something trashy that
Yeah,
I'm
yes,
following
please.
before we get this
Yeah.
wonderful book called Iron Widow
Oh yeah.
by Xiran Zhao, and she is so brilliant. If you have
They,
not
they,
checked out her YouTube channel,
they,
it is
they,
they. Oh, I'm so
non-binary,
sorry.
That's okay, non-binary author. I'd made the same mistake when I originally tweeted about they them and, deleted my tweet and then made it they.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I now know. So
Yeah.
Xiran Zhao is they have this incredible YouTube
Oh, yeah.
channel where they give commentary on all sorts of things. I think they did a commentary kind of vlog about how much they criticized Mulan and the problematic things in Mulan.
Yeah.
I have always, for the record, I have always hated Mulan. I didn't watch the live action, but I just when I was in the theater watching Mulan, the ending was so upsetting to me that I
Yeah.
almost cried.
Oh. So you didn't watch the live action one?
No, was it good?
It's alright. I mean, I'm not a huge, like, Disney princess person, and also
No.
just not a I just don't do, unless it's a gothy animation or snarky animated series, I'm just not invested into Disney stuff like a lot of people are, because Disney was never part of my childhood like it was for a lot of people, so
Me neither, me neither.
I mean, but I kinda liked the live action just because I really liked the choreography, fight scenes, and I thought it was a good character. But again, I'm like, a Midwest white kid geek. I don't have any Asian history, Asian background, so I don't know what that feels like I mean, representation matters, but if you screw up the representation, then it's worse, in a way. So
Yes.
I appreciated the author that we're discussing today, their commentary on that, but they also did commentary on what was the Marvel Shu what's the Marvel movie that takes place with the really sexy guy that's one of the new Marvel characters that has a movie that's in the MCU. It takes place in San Francisco.
The Moon Knight?
No, Shang-Chi. Oscar
Oh, yeah,
Isaac,
yeah, yeah.
not Asian. I know Oscar Isaac. Are you
I
kidding?
know, no, 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 no. Yes, that Shang-Chi. That was such
Shang-Chi.
a good movie.
Yeah.
Awkwafina is so funny. I love her. I could not adore Awkwafina
Oh, I
more.
love Awkwafina. I mean, I want her in everything. Awkwafina, sorry. I want Awkwafina sounds like a cereal. Awkwafina should be in everything. Everything. I love, love, love her. But yeah, no. I know what Moon Knight is. That is our lovely Oscar Isaac, who has replaced Benedict Cumberbatch for me as my new muse.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Can I ask you real quick, what do you think of Moon Knight? Without
I have
spoiling.
not seen it. I have been so busy. I just
Oh,
finished
okay.
a book deadline this week, and I just turned it in, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy, but I've been buried
Wait,
with
you just wrote a
traveling.
book?
I did. Well, graphic novel. Graphic novel.
Still counts. Still awesome. Okay.
I think I'm moving on to a novel. I'm gonna try to write one by
Oh,
the end of the year.
oh my
I'm just gonna
god.
do a dump draft, and if I can get it done by December, I will be a happy, happy lady. Or
Okay.
maybe, like, November.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to say.
We did wonderful, NaNoWriMo on the Discord, which I 100% wanna do this year as well. I have these wonderful prompts that I wrote that I'll just recycle because every one of them were really good.
Oh, maybe
And
I'll do that this year. I always say I'm gonna do it. I have, like, 5 unfinished books. I've been doing NaNoWriMo since it started, and I never get it
really?
done. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Did you
We
how far
we
have you
talked
gotten in a
about
book?
we always talked about on Vaginal Fantasy Romance Book Club.
Yeah, and Veronica's done 2 or 3 books, actually.
Yeah, but Veronica is, like, she's, like, queen of accountability, though. I mean, come on.
She's too organized, right? I miss hanging out
Way
with her.
too organized. She's
Okay,
a mama.
so
She's got a great Instagram. She's a mama now, so,
I know her hair is
Well,
so bold. Anyway,
so
y'all,
beautiful.
let's just okay, I was gonna talk about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, which I don't even know why I wanted to talk about it,
I feel
but
like that's a minefield. We should just let that explode on its own.
I just wanna say I don't wanna say anything about it. I just
Yeah, don't
can't
say anything.
stop reading about it because I'm
Say
just fascinated in a trashy way, and I'm usually not fascinated with trash, and it's trash that's drawing me in
So
real
I
hard.
will. You know what I'll do? I'll post in. I don't. I don't know which section I should post this in all your Discord threads. But there's a great guy on YouTube that's an expert in reading micro expressions, and he does
Ooh.
video of celebrities that do apology, non-apologies, or celebrities that post things, and he breaks it down to show you whether they're lying or not. So I know he's been covering the trial. So maybe I'll just post that and people can watch that if they're interested in learning about
Yeah.
micro expressions, revealing them.
Please,
Yeah.
please. What do you know the person's name? So people who at
Um,
home who don't
I don't
have
know
the link.
who I'll find it and I'll post it in the Geek Events chat.
Okay.
Because I've got him favorited. I can't remember, but he looks just like the cat expert YouTuber.
I don't know either of those people.
Oh, that
I
guy's
don't know.
really cool. That guy tells you what your cats are thinking. That's probably one of the better ones too. I'll post both of them in there. So, but yeah, that's a topic I'm trying to avoid. Though I did post something on Twitter because there was a very confusing headline by one of the British newspapers that said something like Doctor Who examines Amber Bird, or says Amber Bird has multiple personalities or something. Not Amber Bird. What's her name? Amber Heard
Oh,
has
Amber.
multiple personalities. And I read that as Doctor Who, like the show Doctor Who, not a doctor who did this. And I'm like, wait, why is Doctor Who involved? Like, I just got really confused, and so I tweeted about that because I was like, ha 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 ha.
Very interesting. Okay, so let's just skip over the trash and go right to. Although you are the one person that I would want to like discuss trash with, Bonnie, and that
I
is a big
mean,
compliment.
I feel honored, but like anything that's I don't know, it's such a minefield topic, and I just know the last time I got involved in a similar topic, I got canceled by certain people that I did
It's
not. I just, I let's just say I don't.
it's a minefield you do not want to step in. Okay, talk. Let's stop.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's walk into the minefield of Iron Widow, which
Oh yeah,
is this book, y'all. Let's get
so
into the
much,
book club.
so much.
Oh,
Where do you want to
oh,
start?
wow. I just want to rave about it. I was hooked. And I will just tell you, I might be biased in reading this because if you are a listener to my other podcast, I went off my Lexapro several months ago, and
Oh,
I've been experiencing
microdosing.
no, what?
Oh,
What the heck?
sorry, I finished that thought quicker
That's
than I.
interesting. Okay, that's another hang on. We're getting a
Wait,
lot of reactions in
is it
chat.
Lexapro? Is Lexapro anti-anxiety drug?
It is an anti-anxiety drug, but
No.
I have, been experiencing very disturbing PMS where I'm so
Uh,
angry, and I have to tell you, this book channeled my anger in a way that I was like, "Yeah! Murder
okay. Can we talk about how the title just should be changed to "I'm gonna kill you all"?
Yes, I love it."
Yeah.
Can I tell you, a couple years ago several years ago, I wrote a pilot
Ooh.
about 3 women who are just angry, and I called it, what was it called? Anyway, I showed it to my male reps who I later parted ways with because we were just not on the same page. They're very
Oh,
nice people, but anyway, but they basically were like, I think you need to just rewrite this pilot, Felicia, fuck men."
yeah.
And
I
like
I I
that's
highly recommend you watch the movie I Blame Society because that's on Shudder right now through Amazon Prime Video, and it's a movie about a girl who films her own horror film, but she has to go through the dude bros of Hollywood to get any financing, and
Mhm.
it's definitely a rage-filled female movie. And they keep saying, this should be you should calm down the rage stuff. This is a little too much. And it's just like I kept thinking, oh my God, how many times have I had to like had a pitch or had a creative idea that was like basically angry chick gets revenge. She venge. I don't know what you call it. But
Yeah.
anyway, vengeance. And every guy who's ever read anything I write that's like that was like, I don't know, it seems a little harsh.
Yeah. Well, what was the other recent movie about a woman who got revenge on men?
Oh, was it a good girl?
Yeah,
Something girl.
A Promising Young Woman,
Promising Young Woman, yeah. That
which is
also reminded me
brilliant.
of wasn't there another one called not Teeth? Well, maybe yeah, Teeth was a good one. Hard Candy is another good one.
Mhm.
I mean that is a genre in horror films of women getting revenge.
Yeah.
Um,
But
and
are they usually, like, scary women? Or, like
well, no, sadly, a lot of it's sexual assault slash rape revenge movies.
Ew.
It's not like John Wick where you get your puppy killed and then you go after everybody. It's more like, you've been seriously hurt or killed and you come back, like Crow style. Because there's another one about a girl who's like hanging out with her boyfriend and her druggy friends kill her and then she comes back from the dead and then brutally kills them.
Oh, got you.
But there's a lot of like that's also very common in Asian horror films as well, women vengeance movies. So
Hmm. Well,
which is
I mean, if you look
interesting.
at the yokai, and my daughter is obsessed with yokai and, Japanese ghosts and things like that, there are
Yeah.
so many wronged women, ghosts
Oh
who
yeah.
just eviscerate people, and it is interesting. It is a cultural because I don't think there is an equivalent to that in the Western fairy tales and folklore, but it's
Well,
systemic in the Eastern folklore that I've read. I'm not an expert on
yeah.
folklore at all, but it seems like a bigger proportion of women ghosts murdering people,
Well, it's
in the Asian
also
cultures.
yeah, and also the author of this book did describe Iron Widow as Pacific Rim meets Handmaid's Tale, but not so much Handmaid's Tale. It's more like Chinese harem stories,
Now,
which
see, that was interesting. So, okay, I just urge anybody to read this book, but
yeah.
also watch
Oh,
the videos.
do you want to describe it maybe?
Yeah, yeah. Would you like to read the back of the book? Bonnie, do you have it with you?
Let's
Or
see.
I can pull it up. I'm sorry, I usually do that. I'm not as organized tonight for the book club as I
No, I can read
usually
it.
am. Okay.
Um, okay, Rim meets Handmaid's Tale in this blend of Chinese history and mecha science fiction for YA readers. The boys, oh god, I'm gonna mispronounce everything though. Okay, the boys of what's the name of the place?
Huaxia?
Okay,
Huaxia?
okay, you're just as bad as I am. Okay,
Oh, okay.
Hoxia dream of pairing up with girls to pilot Chrysalis's giant transforming robots that can battle the mecha aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. It doesn't matter that the girls often die from the metal strain. Yes, it does. Okay, the 18-year-old Zetian
Wu Zetian.
Zetian offers herself up as a concubine pilot. It's to assassinate the ace male pilot responsible for her sister's death. But she gets her vengeance in a way nobody expected. She kills him through the psychic link between the pilot and emerges from the cockpit unscathed. And what does she say? Welcome to your nightmare. I'm sorry, I love that part
Yeah,
so
she has there are some such good quotes in this. You're
I
just like,
saw a
"Yeah!"
movie. I can't wait for this movie to be based on this book. Okay, anyway. She is labeled an Iron Widow, a much feared and much silenced kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up the chrysalises instead. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental streak, she is paired up with, oh god, Lee Shimshi? Shimshi?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
The strongest and most controversial pilot. But now that Zhejian has had a taste of power, she will not cower so easily. She will miss no opportunity to leverage their combined might and infamy to survive attempt after attempt on her life until she can figure out exactly why the pilot system works in its misogynist way and stop more girls from being sacrificed.
So as
Ta-da!
you can smell, there is a lot of feminism in here.
Oh yeah.
But it's
Ooh,
so good. So
that's so good.
I'm not a big anime fan, and I feel like if you are an anime fan, this is gonna even check even
I know what it's
more
based on. I
boxes.
know what anime this is was inspired by.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, what was it? Because I did watch that video you linked to
it's
me. What was
Darling in the France for I'm sorry, Franx. Here, I'll put it
okay.
in chat. And it's I need to find it. I don't know if it's online. It's probably on Crunchyroll, but I'm gonna have to look for it. But that basically what happened, and this happens to a lot of writers. I know with TV writers, especially, and writers like you and me, and then probably writers listening right now, is if we have a favorite show and we're watching it and it ends in a way that we're like, that's a stupid ending. I would have done this. That's how you know you're a writer when you're like, I'm gonna write fan fiction or I'm gonna fix this ending in my brain over and over.
And that's
Um,
what she did. That's what she has this great vlog where she's describing, like, the whole journey of her struggling to be a writer,
yeah.
having no success whatsoever, over and over again, her parents undermining her,
Oh man.
being rejected over and over, and then finally just keeping at it,
Yep.
and then it looked like something good would happen, and then something bad would happen, and she wouldn't get there, and I loved hearing the ups and downs of her personal story and getting her first novel, published, and now she's, hugely popular, and she is making a living as a writer, and I love it because it really shows you there's no, like, overnight success. There's no
Yeah.
person who's, like, just writes one manuscript, sends it off, and become. I mean, there might be one person, but that's definitely the
Well, I mean, this
exception.
was their debut book that went all the way to New York Times bestsellers list. And it was interesting because the way this author describes their success was that they're so prominent in doing memes about
Mhm.
Asian culture and Asian history and pop culture. that they think a lot of their success was because of how they were using social media and their YouTube channel. So if you go to the author's YouTube channel, like you said earlier, they have a lot of really great stuff, like a lot
Yep.
of great commentary pieces, but also if you follow their Instagram, oh my God. I was like, I probably look like that stalker that does that thing where they favorite, like they heart like 20 videos in a row and you're like, stalker. I do that all the time because I get the algorithm is so sucky on Instagram that half the time I don't even see half my friends. So I go to their actual profile and then I get caught up on everything they posted.
Oh,
But
wow.
then I look like a weirdo because I'm like, commenting on 15 different posts at the same time. So it's back to back to back. But
It's
their
okay, Bonnie.
Instagram,
You're always online. We know that about you.
well, it's not that. It's just I'm really good at procrastinating. So it's not even that. It's just, and also I never leave my house because I'm so germophobic. So, and also I don't know. I also have really bad insomnia. So I'll check
Oh,
Instagram at like
no.
4 in the morning. And that's when you like wake up and go, oh, Bonnie must not have slept last night because she liked 15 of my posts and has commented on each of them. But yeah, that's her. I'm sorry, their Instagram's great, their Twitter's great. I just love their Instagram because their stories are amazing. But that's the thing that you never know when your book is going to do well or not. And this is a debut book. I mean, they did get a book deal. This author is Canadian, so they went through, I think, was it Simon and Schuster's Canadian, or no, Random House's.
They went through Random House Canada. Yeah, that was the only person who picked up this book, but it's a huge,
Oh,
huge, huge
that's
success
interesting.
for them. I
Yeah,
love
that was
it.
interesting to watch that video. I posted in the Geeks chat if any of you guys want to watch it, but that was interesting that author said that Penguin House, oh, I'm sorry, Random I should
Random
know this.
House.
Most of my books are through
Penguin Schuster.
I have not Penguin Schuster because Simon Schuster's different. Penguin Random House. I have like what, like 8 books through that I've written and published through that publisher.
Panda Random House. What?
Oh my god. Anyway, it's good to know that the Canadian version or the Canadian branch are more adventurous and risk taking. So if you have a book idea or a book that you're done with and you're like, well, no one, I mean, because she got,
Keep going after it. Just keep sending it
yeah,
out,
'cause
keep
got
writing.
rejected. They
Yeah.
got rejected, but if you look at some of the most popular books in YA and in fiction, especially fantasy and sci-fi, those books have been rejected. It was like 25, 30 times before they get a publisher. So it's not like, you should just don't let rejection stop you looking for a publisher because chances are if you like what you wrote and you have friends that have read your stuff that like what you wrote, then it needs to be published. Because if you
Yeah.
think of all the books out there that should never have been published, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of crap.
So you could
So
self-publish and just move along. I mean, she was
yeah,
talking about she's written several novels that never got released, and then
I know
somebody
they
started
what if
mentoring her.
was it a sci-fi mermaid?
I love it. I wanna read that one now. I hope she gets made.
But I highly recommend. I posted the video in Geeks events chat if you want to watch it. They also have some great. I mean, the whole YouTube channel that they have is great, but that one in particular that I memed myself into a #1 New York Best Time bestseller. It's a great video. It's also very energetic because I'm sorry, they have the same problem I do, where I'm a fast talker because of attention deficit, and energetic talker as well.
Mhm, mhm.
That this author also reminds me of Charlie Jane Anders, who we've read a book from. They're very lively when they talk on their books or on their videos, and I love an energetic author. I don't know
She
why.
really is. Yeah, she's very outgoing for an author.
Oh,
Now let's
okay.
just talk
So
about the book.
back to the book.
Let's
Wait,
let's
okay.
talk about the book a little bit.
Can
Although what we
I bring up something
Sure,
from the book? So we talked
sure.
about female rage. Can we talk about the concubine element a
I
little?
mean, sure. Okay, so in this world, there are mechs,
Yeah.
and it's very similar to the world of ancient China.
Yep.
There's a great wall, and outside the wall, there are these kind of bug mech things. And so
Which,
basically, the
by the way,
humans.
I learned something funny about that,
Uh huh.
about these creatures.
Yeah.
Hundun is what they're called.
The Hundan. Yeah.
But in Mandarin Chinese, the kanji character, actual characters of spelling it out, it's
Hmm.
also the same in Mandarin for wontons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
when I looked it up, at first when I was reading, I was like, wait, are they fighting giant wontons? Because that was like, I would be down for that. The wontons. I'm just
Listen,
saying.
I mean, they're mechs. So basically they're in big robot type, I guess. I mean, how did you picture these in your head?
Okay,
I
so
kind
this
of
is how I
pictured
pictured it. They're
Transformers, kind of.
kinda well, okay, so Hangdong monsters, they're actually in Chinese mythology. They're primordial chaos beings.
Okay.
And it's not that you have their body that you're turning into mechas, it's the husk of their body, I think. So the
Yeah,
husk
so they
is
killed
your
it. They're killing. They basically go out and battle these creatures that
yeah,
have invaded the land,
yeah,
and then take the husk of their husks and build a mech out of them, and then two individuals pilot them together using their chi. And so they have elemental chi, earth, fire, water,
yeah, it's
um,
Chinese astrology.
metal.
Yeah.
It's just like Chinese, yeah, like
But then
astrology.
also the animals, because the animals are related to the it's kinda like, I don't wanna okay, I don't wanna Westernify this, but I'm gonna because I'm horrible. It's like Game of Thrones, each house has its own symbol that represents the house that's a creature, whatever. But this is Chinese astrology, so you have the 4 symbols of Chinese astrology, but then
The
they
four
are
elements. Yeah,
sorry, the elements, but you're also using Chinese mythological creatures as part of
exactly.
the yeah,
And
which
then
is
so
great.
the pure chi surrounded by spirit metal. Yeah, I was a little confused. It's very cool and very complex, and I really would love to see like somebody break down exactly how it.
And
But everybody
don't they also use acupuncture needles to, like, connect?
exactly. So there's a male driver, and then a
Yeah,
female sort of person who's sharing her chi with them.
yeah,
And the men are generally very, very, very strong, and the women are weaker in that. And usually, when they're battling, a woman will die in the process of piloting this mech and fighting these creatures. So,
yeah,
so
they're
they're
like
it's
Duracell batteries.
they're treated like batteries. Exactly,
Yeah.
Banshee brings it up. So, but the
Oh, yeah,
secret that we uncover in the book is that it doesn't have to be like that.
right.
Women can drive too. It's just the patriarchy essentially
Ugh. Yeah.
holding everybody down. The system was rigged against women. And this is also a time when women had their feet bound, which I don't know if you all have ever Googled foot binding and see what people's feet look like when they did that. It is the most horrifying thing you've ever seen.
Okay, now
I
I have to step in. So,
okay.
one thing I think we need to be careful of, when it comes to because we are both Western readers,
Yes.
um, feet binding does sound horrifying. However, this is part of a culture.
True.
I'm
Okay.
not justifying it, but it is a cultural thing that
Mhm.
I think a lot of writers have to be careful of when they bring up foot binding and say, "Oh, how, isn't this horrible?" Blah blah. Blah. Yes, but it's a cultural thing. Like we're not going to understand it. We weren't part of. And also, interesting enough, it was the wrong dynasty. So Song Dynasty had foot binding, not this dynasty that it's based off, which is Tang Dynasty. Because as we know, these characters are based off of actual, real historical characters, but they've
Mhm.
been fictionized. So it's like historical fiction. So like our main character is based off the first empress of China.
Which
Uh,
is in 800. So this I think her name actually she shares the name for this
Yeah,
empress.
they
And
have the same
so
names. It's the same names of these actual historical characters,
yeah,
but foot
Wei
binding was
Zetian.
yeah, but foot binding
Wu
happened,
Zetian.
it happened in the dynasty before this dynasty. So there is no foot binding in this dynasty that this character would have been a real do you know what I'm saying? Like, that when this person was a real she's not the only emperor, by the way. She's the first emperor. There was another one.
There was another woman emperor? Oh, when I read the Wikipedia
You know why I
today.
know that? Because she's in my Crafting with Feminism book.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
I mentioned her. I made a point to mention her because I'm like, this is not a white craft book. This is a all women, yeah. Just I'll put her name in when I'm done talking. But I did want to say something about the foot binding because I am one of those people that when I would read about foot binding and see like books or I would do research on it, I'm like, oh, that's so fucked up. But here's the thing. We do fucked up stuff to ourselves now. Like plastic surgery. If people 500 years from now look back at us doing Botox, plastic surgery, blah corsets, that corsets would break ribs. Corsets made women pass out because they didn't have blood getting to them. High heels, exactly, Banshee. High heels are a form of mutilation. In fact, I have that in my crafting book too, where it's a cactus holder to remind us because chow chow heels are super painful. Like Orthodontics, that's another, you know what I mean? So it's all kind of relative of what we're used to and of the time. So
I mean, I
really,
get you,
you
but
know what I
but
mean?
I totally get you, but it
I'm
is
not I'm
used
not
in the
saying it's
book.
good. I'm not saying
It's
it's
in
good. I'm not saying that we should do that kind of thing. 'Cause that's
no, 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 I'm just I totally get hear you, we have to be open-minded and not judgmental, because I had the same thing. I'll tell you an example of something that I got really judgy about, that I
okay.
was definitely corrected, and I felt very enlightened and chastened about. In
Alright.
Far Cry 5, they had, cockfighting as a mini
Oh,
game,
yeah.
and I got really upset, but then at the same time, a lot of people brought up, like, "This is not yours to judge," you know? So,
Well,
there
yes and
are
no, like, that is a
Mhm.
cultural thing, but, like, I never will say pit bull dog fighting is a cultural thing because I love dogs more than I love chickens,
We'll
so
see,
maybe.
yeah, so we have to be careful, and thank you for bringing it up, and everybody can be kind of
So I
figure
will
out
say,
and educate
if
themselves
if
about
you do
how
wanna educate yourself about foot binding history, there's a great book called Cinderella's Sisters, written by Dorothy Coe. She's the, professor of Chinese history at Columbia, and
Mhm.
it's basically it talks about all the different things about foot binding throughout history, but it does it with the Chinese background, like the Chinese perspective. So,
Yeah.
but it looks like a really good book. It's like I don't know. I'm probably going to get it just because I want to know more about why they did that. I mean, it persisted for over 1,000 years. So I mean, it wasn't like
The
it
main
wasn't like a decade. Like it happened for a long time.
The main thing about the foot binding in this book particularly, because we are in a fantasy world, so I guess we
Yeah.
can look at it in that, in a fantasy perspective, it's like, she was so angry that they did that to her and betrayed her, and the searing pain and the horrific description of what they have to do to her at 5. I mean, my daughter, they would be taking my daughter at her age and doing this to her, and I got so angry and so
Yeah.
upset, and it broke my heart, and it breaks the character's heart as well, which I
Yeah.
think, um so anyway, so it is a big story point in the book that she was betrayed, she felt and she has a very dysfunctional
Can I ask,
family
don't
with
you
an
think it was
abusive
it
male figures in it.
happened to the wrong character, I think? Because wasn't there another character that you would think it would have happened to, but it didn't? Like the one that was more traditional?
Her
Uh,
sister? Her sister was so basically, when we open the book, her sister has been given up to become a concubine, and she has died, and she has died in the process of this, and she believes that she's been murdered by one of, the lead character
uh-huh.
believes that her sister was murdered by one of these fancy pilots, and she basically walks into volunteering to become a concubine for one of these pilots in order to murder the one who to get vengeance on her sister.
Yeah.
So that's where
Oh, no, I get the story, but I just didn't think the bookbinding or sorry, not bookbinding. That I approve of. Shoot, foot binding. It's not I don't know. I felt like it was put in the book, but then it just was sort of like not really used properly like I would have thought they would have.
Really?
I thought
She
they
was
would have
talking a lot about how it was just like walking on glass.
Yeah. I know, I just thought it was I thought other pilots, other female pilots would have gone through it and they didn't.
Hmm.
I don't know. I
Well,
don't know.
all the women basically have it. I think it was just a cultural thing to make sure the women had bound feet.
Yeah,
Although
whole
there were
thing.
quote
Sure.
unquote peasants. There were like a different not race, but a different sect of people who were called kind of like the peasant people
Oh, that's
who had flat regular feet. Some the outsider tribe exactly. So
uh
there were Rongu. Thank you so much for that, Banshee.
okay.
So, it is I think, a motivator for her and a reason to bring up she uses it as a kind of a weapon against the patriarchy, the author, in putting it into this character and making it traumatic and crippling for her to, walk and move, and that's why getting in the mech is, like, so wonderful for her because she's soaring, she's flying, and she has this freedom that she couldn't do in her physical body, which is really interesting. It's kind of like almost a VR situation.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? They didn't really I just didn't think they fleshed out the sister enough.
I agree with you. I think the sister kinda disappeared, and I didn't understand the relationship between how why it was so important, but at
Yeah.
the same time, she goes and she murders the pilot,
Yep.
and because she is actually super strong mentally with her chi, and then
Mhm.
she gets paired with the number 1 pilot who is this murderer who murdered his brothers and his
Yeah.
and he's like the most feared person in the world,
He's
but
like
also the most
the next
admired.
con. He's next con, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the cool thing is that she basically learns that he's not a bad guy. A lot of
Right.
things made him that way, and they become sort of paired, and she has this other so it's a love triangle book, but it's, like, so much better than Twilight. Gao
Oh,
Yiji, who is a rich kid that she met randomly and they formed a relationship with, and then it ends up that they become sort of a polyamorous trio kind of, or at least their love is very transitive and with Wu
yeah.
Zhe Zetian being kind of at the top of the
Why
triangle.
like a love triangle that ends in poly, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's a polyamorous relationship. So I'm kind of glad that she doesn't have to, no one has to make a decision. Let's just everybody get together. Like that I love. I
I
love it.
loved it. It was super like, "Let's just do this." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, why do people even care?"
I mean I mean yeah, we're in a story where people are using the giant husks of alien monsters to to kill the aliens and they're you know what I mean? There's other things to worry about. Like I feel like
Exactly.
when there's big life things like your feet being bound and your family selling you off and also your sister being murdered and also you're all about vengeance, love triangles don't seem that big a deal. You know what I mean?
No.
Like you shouldn't have to be like, do I want him or him? That's the problem I had with Twilight. I'm like, you're in life or death situations and you're just being whiny. Like the whole book. I mean, I'm apologies to those of you listening that love that series. I don't want to I'm not
Mhm.
trying to Twilight shame here, but any book series that has a love triangle, which by the way is a lot of romance books, especially in urban fantasy, I just don't know why they just don't all hook up. Like, just do True Blood. Just do an orgy like they do in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. They just all get together. So it's like, why do you have to choose? Just all, like, or in Lucifer, just have like
No,
a
it's
little,
not. I love it, and I loved it the 3 characters because she is really the dominant in
right?
this trio, like, we have
Badass.
one character, the murderer, Li Shimin, who is super feral, but it's because he's been made feral by the way he's raised, his abusive
Yeah.
background, by the world, and they basically use him because he's so mentally, psychically strong and saving them by entering the mech and
Yeah.
crushing
I'm
these
getting
aliens.
I get old boy vibes from him. A
Yeah,
little
very
bit.
old boy vibes. And then
Yeah.
we have this beautiful, like effeminate, very sensitive Gao Yiji, who is more. What was his element? So Zishan is metal. Is she
Yeah.
mostly metal?
I think so. I can't remember. Is it wood? No.
Well, Li Shimin is fire. So he's fire. The murderer is fire.
Metal, fire, water.
Yes, water. Yeah,
That's a
exactly. And then,
violet.
but everybody, I guess, can tap into all of them, but like at different strengths.
So Xian was
Um,
metal, and the other one was fire.
Fire,
So
exactly. Jixien was metal, exactly, and metal, fire, and water because she had to pick whether, she could channel so they can learn how to channel their different elements in order
which is
to
cool. I thought that was cool.
yeah, it is. Um, so anyway, there's so much complexity to the world building of this book, and I would hate to mess any of it up, in describing it. I'll just tell you that it is a romp like you've never believed, and it is I would love to, I have a little speech that she wrote that I would
Okay,
love to read out that made me
let's do it.
cheer when I read it.
Yeah, do it.
You know what I think? I said, I think this whole concept of women being docile and obedient is nothing but wishful thinking. Or why would you put so much effort into lying to us all and crippling our bodies into coercing us with made up morals that you claim are sacred? You insecure men, you're afraid you could force us into compliance, but deep down, you know you can't force us into truly loving and respect to truly love and respect you. And without love and respect, there will also always be a seed of hatred and resistance growing, festering, and waiting. I love it.
That's so good. There's so many great moments in this book too where it's like, holy shit, like that's the stuff I wish I could say on Twitter when I'm being bullied.
Me too. Also, she murders somebody right after that.
I mean,
She murders a male authority and because basically so she's proven to be very, very strong. The pairing between them are perfectly balanced.
yeah.
And then they start uncovering all these secrets, especially with these men who are in power who want to keep the institution of sending girls to their deaths basically in place. But as we go through the book, huge revelations are pulled back. And they're so I mean, I don't know if you wanna talk about the twist at the end, Bonnie, but it is just
We can if you
mind-blowing.
want. We can. I mean, I have a whole list of topics. Like, I mean, I did kind of want to say that I was a little disappointed that there were no positive relationships between women.
That's true. There aren't very many
Honestly,
positive racial except
well,
for her and her dead sister, kind of.
that doesn't count because you barely get any. I just didn't think there was enough about the sister in the book. Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't invested enough. Like, I wanted to see that relationship a lot more, and then I would care more, about
Mhm.
her getting vengeance. I mean, granted, if anyone killed any of my family members, even the ones I feel lukewarm about, I'd still get vengeance. But
Mhm.
I just wanted more, and then I just this is okay, so this is a thing that just, uh, I don't know. Maybe it's just a pet peeve I have, but I just don't like books that it's like she's not like the other girls, and it's like it's one girl against like all the other girls are really mean, evil
Mhm.
villain archetypes, and it's like, why can't she have a girl bestie? Why can't there be a girl thrown into the love triangle? Why does it have? I don't know. It just feels like
I hope that that happens maybe in the next book because
yeah,
we
there's a
certainly
sequel.
set up a sequel, but you're totally right. We have a lot of antagonistic relationships between her and her weak, quote unquote, weak grandmother and
Yeah,
mother,
yeah,
who are basically submissive to abusive men in her household. We have the other women who are partnered with other male pilots who are one of them is openly antagonistic, one of them is kind of half antagonistic, and then the other people try to murder her. And
yeah.
so it would be nice if that and she does try to make friends with them and they really reject her. But I think what was interesting is she did in a way analyze why women have to be against women in these circumstances, and I'm really hoping that that can grow throughout the series where women feel more comfortable because if you look at Hollywood, especially when I first moved to Hollywood, the scarcity of opportunity between women made it almost completely common for women not to help other women. Because if you look at a comedy group, there's one girl and that's it, right? Because there's especially like in the 10 years ago when I was doing comedy, there'd be one or two girls and that is it. And there's only slots for two girls and eight white dudes usually. And so the scarcity of opportunity kind of was set up to make women really
I don't
compete
know
against
though.
each other.
I feel like the scarcity of opportunity is a myth that women
It was a myth. Yes,
perpetuate, and I think if
agree.
women stop believing that's a thing, then that they could flip that narrative, So I don't know, like I came across this in the workplace. I've come
Mhm.
across this in my friend groups. I've come across this with other writers. I've come across this in the gaming industry, the tech industry, the movie industry, the TV. It's just like, why? Why are we competing against a glass ceiling that, by the way, doesn't really exist? It's what
Because
it
well, no,
is.
I'll tell you what, I mean, in my theory, it's because men are in the position of elevating women because they're in position of authority, because they're systemically put in positions of authority because they've always had the power, and they usually they'll share the power only, with certain kinds of women and very few because they don't wanna be, the
Honestly,
power dynamic to shift.
I've had more problems with women not promoting me than guys not promoting me. So
Yeah.
I never come across that with trust me when I say I come across plenty of misogyny with guys. Like that's not what I'm saying. What you just described is very common, but the things that I've had the most problem with in the workplace aren't the dudes that are telling me
Mhm.
they can't promote me because they do promote me. It's other women in power who
I
just don't
agree, I
want to
agree.
be.
Women don't support women, but they're not again, to get through systems, they can't they it doesn't it's no there's no
Once
advantage
they're
to
at the
that.
top, there's no excuse.
I agree.
That's why I'm like, it's kind of like I'm going to get a little controversial here, but it's like Kathy Kennedy saying that, the reason that there's no a lot of female screenwriters or female directors for Star Wars is there just isn't any. And I'm like, well, that's bullshit because I can name at least 30 that she could hire right now. That's
Mhm.
not the case. They hire dudes straight out of USC that have like one credit on IMDb because they can be bullied into things or they could be told to do such and such. I mean, Patty Jenkins' Star Wars project is now dead. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's just kind of like that whole time's up bullshit and that whole like
Well, yeah, I
women
think
supporting women. It's like a lot of women say it, but they don't act on it. And it drives me crazy because if I was in charge of a studio, it'd probably be a lot of women in charge of things that you would say, oh, that's unusual. But guess what? That wasn't unusual in the 40s and 50s. Like Ida Lupino is like one of the most famous directors from the 1950s. Like, why is this a unusual thing now? Whereas in the third, even when it started, when movies started, women were directing. So it's like, I don't know. I think
Well, but women used to be only women only used to be editors as well because it was considered a low
yeah,
paying,
Marcia Lucas.
low entry job. And so
Yeah, George
when the
Lucas.
prestige of an area increases, then men tend to take
Well, I think
dominant
it just
roles.
depends it depends too on the era. So it's like we've gone backwards in feminism when it comes to entertainment industry a lot. And so
Yeah,
that's why
somewhat. I don't know. I don't know if I
no,
agree with
no,
that.
I just mean like if you watch old episodes of Perry Mason and
Oh,
look
for
at
sure. I think the energy yeah, I agree with you. If you look at Maude or like the 70s
yeah,
sitcoms,
yeah.
super progressive as far as women representation and
Or look at
storylines.
Betty White. Like she was had her own show that she was producing, and she got to decide who the guests were. And it was controversial because she would have African American guests on at a time that was not a thing, and she would fight to have these people on her show. And it's like, or to have people on her show that are never put on the shows or never given responsibility because she made that effort. She didn't think, oh, I have to like watch my P's and Q's because there's a dude that's going to be, you know what I mean? Like so I guess part of me is just I think I'm just angry in general that more women don't openly support each other. You are not that person. You are the person that I've seen again and again and again signal boost women in the industry. Your interview series is really cool. I appreciate the work that you do in the entertainment industry to boost women, but I have seen
Good.
other women just get really catty and petty and jealous and competitive and I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, no. Well, I think that girls and women supporting women is super important. And I really hope the book, the next one, the White Tiger pilot, Starcrier Finks does make a good point. The White Tiger pilot was the only one that
Yeah.
kind of shared some trauma with her, and I'm hoping that once The Secret of the Yin Seat comes out, where basically they've been powering down women in
Yeah.
that seat, I'm really excited for the next installment in the book to kind of open that up for her. Also, let's just say there were 2 twists to there's okay, so at the end
Oh
of the
yeah, let's
book
talk the twist. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because gosh, we're running out of time, I can't believe it, we could talk hours.
What?
Um,
Oh my god, how is it oh,
I know. Anyway, so toward the end of the book, she and her loves are uncovering basically that the patriarchy has kept the women down. They have basically been sacrificing women to keep the status quo. They go out on a really big fight. One of the mechs attacks them. So our hero goes and revives the most powerful emperor of all
mhm,
time who has been sleeping
of
and
course.
basically wakes him up.
Yeah.
He put himself in stasis because he caught this plague, and she's able to temporarily cure him. And so they go out and they kick ass with this golden dragon. But she basically has brought the emperor back and starts just smashing stuff, just like exploding everything and taking over and going to the palace and being like, "We're in charge now." But then there's another twist in that her lover, who is presumed dead, is now on life support. His lungs are hanging out, and he's basically been taken by the a higher up, the gods, quote unquote, who might be people just on a spaceship. And they learn from secret documents that they're not even on Earth. They were dropped here by they were dropped there to live. And they basically the aliens they've been fighting are sympathetic, and the humans are the ones who are attacking them and taking their land. And
Mm,
that it made me cry, Bonnie.
yeah. That was a twist I did not expect at all.
No,
Yeah.
it was
That was big.
heartbreaking
So sad. Though, by
because
the way, I do like the idea of going like totally in stasis during a play because that's what I did for 2020. So I feel like seeing. But yeah, no, the twist ending was sad. It's kind of like I guess it's well, I don't want to. I hope everyone here has seen Planet of the Apes because it felt a little like that. You
no,
know,
I
yeah.
will not watch Planet of the Apes. I cried just seeing one of those
Oh,
monkeys move made me
I
cry.
mean, the end of Planet of the Apes when they figure out. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I just say there's a twist that's kind of like this twist, but it's flipped. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, yeah, that's it. Whenever I see stuff like that, where I'm like, oh, that's what we have to look forward to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm kind of like, oh, that was sad. I This was a book that I loved to like I screamed at, but in a good way. Like I'd read something and go, "Hell yeah," or I'd read something and go, "No,"
"You
or
go, girl." It was like, "You
uh,
go, girl," was
if I had
the
roommates,
anthem.
oh my god, if I had roommates, they'd be like, "What is Bonnie yelling at in her room?" Like it's there are just so many. I mean, that's a good sign of good writing, by the way, is
100%.
if you can get me to yell during it or, hoot and holler during it or get excited or
Mhm.
I don't know. And I don't want to be derogatory because here's the thing with YA, a lot of people don't think they always think it's like sci-fi fantasy light, like they don't give it the credit it deserves.
Oh my gosh, no. I mean, this is really about this what's beautiful about this book is that the themes of liberation and
Yep.
rage are
Yeah.
so organic and intuitive, and then she's using so much actual historic
Oh yeah.
Chinese
I looked
history.
at so much stuff. Like I watched a documentary on foot binding. That's why it was all that I didn't mean to sound super aggro when I was talking about foot binding.
No, I
It's just
appreciate it. I appreciate having a different point of view
well,
because
it's also like I only know my own culture, however bland that is, right? So I don't have history like other cultures do where I don't want to be judgy or I mean, I don't want to get my feet bound. I mean, I've
yeah,
got
who am I? Who
I
am
have
I to
huge
say,
feet.
"Oh, they're what a
I
gross thing to
mean,
do," when in
I grew
fact
up
they
in
did the same thing to
yeah.
women in Europe, were
Yeah,
had
I
to
mean, I
undergo.
small feet size is universal at a certain era, right? Like the women have always been like, "Oh, my feet are super dainty." Like that used to be a thing. I have
Mhm.
the hugest hobbit feet ever. Like I
Me
used to go
too.
to when I used to go to Trash and Vaudeville in New York twice a year to load up on high heel like total like fuck me heels because they only came in that size because they ordered them for drag queens. So I was going to like drag queen shoe outlet stores just to get, sexy high heel shoes because they didn't make them in size 10 and a half and 11 when I was in my 20s. Like I had to
Mhm.
really search, and this is before the internet was a thing. So I had to really search for those shoes. So like I am not like saying foot binding's a cool thing or anything. I'm just saying it's a culture that I am not privy to, so I don't want to be judgmental towards, especially when it's a non-white culture thing. So like I've just been more I guess I don't want to say woke because that makes me sound like an asshole, but I try to be a little bit more educated about cultures I'm not familiar with. So
Uh-huh.
during this book felt like a Wikipedia rabbit hole for me because I went and researched so many things because I was like, oh, I don't know what that's about. What's that about? So I was like
Yeah, it makes
constantly
me wanna
like
learn a lot more about Chinese history
which I love,
and
which is great. I
culture.
think the author would appreciate us doing that because that's one of the reasons the author wrote this book is because there was a void that needs to be filled in YA of different cultures. And I think Chinese
Well,
culture is
I have to tell you, I my daughter's super into mythology, and reading all the pantheons that have not been familiar to me, like the ones for Africa,
yep.
South America, the Incan, like,
I
there's
mean,
some
I'm doing
fascinating
Native American culture books right now
Native
because
Americans, yes.
so I
So,
don't know. Like I think it's a great avenue, especially a historical fiction that's not I mean, they're using real life character like names of real life historical figures, but like to learn more about that and to like
mhm.
broaden your range of what you read in YA, I think is important, but also this is the type of book where I'm like, oh hell yeah. Like I like female rage books, especially YA, because that's an age group that I think identifies with rage probably the most because they're
Well,
starting to see
yeah,
us.
they're starting to see it affect their lives and
Yeah,
limit them and
yeah.
maybe steer them on a path that they wouldn't if that wasn't institutionalized, and I love
Yeah,
it. I love
It's like Riot Girl reading list. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like this is just perfect. And it's just so funny because like I was listening to the Lindas while I was reading this. Which is a great band that you guys should all check out. They were in the movie Moxie, but they're also one of the members is a friend of mine's daughter, Martin Wong, who created
Uh-huh.
Giant Robot magazine. It's one of his daughters is in it, but it's also a great
Oh,
band.
cool.
They're reminding me how much I loved being in a Riot Girl band in the '90s.
Mhm.
So like we were in a crap band. I shouldn't say that like I was in Bikini Kill or something, but I was in a Riot Girl band that I loved, but we all our songs were rage. All her songs were, bring down the patriarchy. All of her songs, like I wish this book came out when I was that age because we'd probably write a song about We'd probably write an Iron Widow song.
For sure.
So
For
I just
sure.
love
No,
how you
it
do
really
it.
does. It channels rage in an incredible way. It has great characters that are
Yeah.
very, um, unique and that I haven't seen before, and it's a culture and world that kinda mixes Chinese culture with absolute fandom of anime and other geeky things in a really wonderful way. So I even if you're not attracted to like, "Oh, I love feminist rage books," you the mechs, the world building, the chi, all of the details of the magic, quote, unquote, and the sci-fi, quote, unquote, and then there is world building that is just wonderful, and then there's we didn't even talk about the whole thing where her lover, one of her lover's father is, like, basically the Rupert Murdoch of this world, and so they're using marketing and social media to try to get on their side so they don't kill her off and make sure that she becomes this personality that kind of transcends the ability to dispose of her. So the power that she tries to get through, like photo shoots and things like that, which to me is kind of interesting because I said this on another podcast recently that, I'm disparaging of the Kardashian family. And yet, if you really think about it, what we tell little girls from a very young age and how they should be and how a path to success is their beauty and the way that they appeal to men. And this
Mhm.
whole clan has turned that into ultimate power where they in fact are in charge and have all the money and rule by conforming to those um to all those things that little girls are told they need to be. Well, they're the ultimate power of that. What now whether I agree with that's the best thing for women to be on that path or tell little girls that, but you got to admire somebody who takes what they're forced into and really makes it powerful. I do have to admire that in a sense.
Yeah, the only thing I have the quandary about the Kardashians is they are not a rags to riches story at all. They're a riches to riches story.
No,
So
no, of course they
that's,
are.
once if you have all the money and you could, then yeah, you could do whatever you want. And the way you use that money in a positive way or negative way is up to you. But it's, yeah, I don't know. Like and also I'm not a parent. I don't have a daughter. So I have nieces and stuff that I care about how they perceive the world. But like, beauty, half of them want to, when I ask my nieces what they want to do with their life, like not in a controversial way, but more like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like most of them say influencers or beauty influencers.
Oh
I don't
no.
know what to do with that. Like I'm like, okay, that's a goal. You could do that.
Oh no.
It's sad that none of them want to be writers and none of them want to be astronauts or
I know
scientists.
that's always
Or,
frustrated me about YouTube. If you look at the women who garner the top, about social media in general, the women who garner the top views are the ones who really do play into the most cliched of gender roles, and I've
oh,
always tried to fight
love
against it,
examples.
much to my financial or successful
Yeah.
detriment. Not having Geek and Sundry be only women, was a conscious choice that I refused to do, and
Also, nothing against beauty bloggers because
no,
one of my favorite YouTubers, Bailey Sarian, does Murder Makeup Mondays, where she merges doing her makeup with talking about true crime. So, and that's not necessarily something you think would go together, but so she does that, but she started as a beauty blogger, a beauty influencer. But I love her like mixing of things that are unexpected, and also she's pretty hardcore feminist too. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, also,
It's
yeah, telling
never
women that you can't be feminist and still care about your appearance. There's so many layers to feminism and women's identity and
yeah,
gender, and
like
I'm
sugar
just glad
pill.
that we're in a
Sugar
time we can
pill.
deconstruct it and reanalyze it. We have 2
Yeah, like
questions, Bonnie.
Sugar Pill, by the way, is like a great beauty cosmetic vegan company run by a Asian American woman who's like, there was nothing for my skin type and I wanted and nothing vegan. And also drag queens love her. And so she's, promoted a lot through that. So here's the thing. Like if you have influence, use it in a positive way. Hopefully not in a misogynistic pro patriarchy way, but also read this book. Tell everyone to read this book and tell guys to read this book. Like I don't know how many of
Yeah,
our
this is
audience.
not a women exclusive book. This is like
No.
a lot of our, the men or male identifying people in our community really, really dug the book just because it's
Yeah.
kick-ass. Now, I have a question. Garuda X17 asks, "If you could
Okay.
have your own chrysalis, what
Oh,
animal would it be and what kind of weapon special attack would it have?"
okay. What you go first?
I would be well, red panda is my favorite animal, and I did make the red panda our Geeks mascot. So, basically, mine would be a red panda with laser eyes and, fire farts.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, because you want both ends, you know what I'm saying? What about
I'll
you?
say, praying mantis, that throws up acid glitter, like the blood in the movie Alien, but it's
Oh,
glitter.
wow. Okay,
Because
great.
glitter gets everywhere and you can't get it off of you. So there's
Glitter
no
is awful, and you could definitely put an eye out.
yeah, so acid glitter, but I just don't like I think it's because praying mantises are so great in real life. They also kill their male mate after sex.
Mhm.
Like right after
Mhm.
sex, they bite the head off. So it's like
Mhm.
I kind of like that female rage kind of persona in an
Oh,
in
that it would be cool. Yes, that
yeah.
makes sense.
And also they look cool. I mean, I mean, most bugs, if you really look at them, they do look like little aliens. But if they were huge, they would be like, like like Starship Troopers. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you
Starship. I
did.
have
Starship Troopers.
so much caffeine in me right now that like my mouth
I
is
could
moving.
tell Bonnie, I was like, "Wow, she's really energetic." You have a lot of caffeine in you.
Oh, I have a lot of Starship Troopers. Thank you. Yeah, so it's like the giant bugs and that. Like I love the world building of those insects. So I that's how I was picturing these Hunduns. Well, I was also picturing giant wontons because I was hungry a lot of times I was reading this book. But I do like the idea of the mecha of this book. And I want to find that anime, Darling in the Franks. I'm gonna find that and I will share it in our group as soon as I find out where it's streaming because
Oh,
I
yeah,
want to know
great.
what this was inspired by. I feel like it's probably really good as well. So
I mean, a good listen is if you feel like you watch something, you're like, "Wow, I wish they had done it this way." Go write a little short story. You don't have to release it, but channeling that like, "I think I could do this better," or "I have an angle on this that's different," is
yeah,
super, super productive. Okay,
how
last
do
question.
yeah, next question. Go ahead.
Last question. If it was up to you, who would you pick as your balanced match co-pilot? I
Oh.
would pick Jason Momoa. I'm sorry. I just feel like
Ooh.
if we're going into full fantasy territory, it's
And it
gonna be
has to be
Jason
I
Momoa.
assume it has to be a guy, right? Because the guy girl thing.
I feel like I'm fire. Like, I think my element is mostly fire and maybe some water. So I
Okay.
think Jason
That's
Momoa would be wood and, metal, and I feel like that would complement each other. Also, he
oh.
smells probably like leather.
Oh, yeah. Well, he smells like sandalwood, I bet.
For sure.
Yeah. I would say either Oscar Isaac, because that's I'm totally obsessed with him right now,
Gotcha.
or I don't know. You know what though? I also want female energy in there. So I think either Trixie Mattel or Katya, one of those drag queens, or no, Willow Pill. Oh my God, Willow Pill. So Willow Pill, the most recent drag RuPaul Drag Race queen,
Mhm.
because technically it is a guy, but I want some female energy in my cockpit too. So I'm gonna say Willow Pill. Uh, they would probably be water. I would be fire. I
Mhm.
don't know though. Metal. I feel like fire metal.
You
I
can
don't know.
you can maybe put another I mean, listen, our hero of this book had, 2 male partners or 2 partners, so you could
Oh,
throw
well then
another
okay,
person in
then I
there.
want Sigourney Weaver and Willow Pill
Okay.
and me. I
Sigourney
don't
Weaver, okay. Now which one wait, what are your elements and what is Sigourney yeah.
Sigourney's gonna be fire. I'm gonna be metal. Willow's gonna be water.
Okay, so you're missing Earth, right?
Oh right. Oh crap.
But you can have 2. That's just what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I'll have
You
Earth.
can have
Fire metal for me. Oh, Nick Cage would be good too though.
what? You do not want Nick Cage in a mech. You go wild. He
I
just
know, but
flail
I
around
like
and do a
chaos.
monologue. What are you talking about?
You know me, I like chaos as an element. I think
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves would be too mellow
He'd be
in
way
real
mellow. He's like sleepy water.
yeah, I feel like he would calm me down too much. I need an element of chaos. So that's why Nick Cage is interesting.
Mhm.
'Cause he's very chaotic. And Jason
Gotcha.
Momoa, I feel like Jason Momoa would be too distracting for me. Because I
Mhm.
wouldn't be paying attention to the fight. I'd be like, how can I bed this guy down constantly? So I need someone that's not too distracting. I don't
Okay,
know. This is a good
so you
question.
think I would be too distracted in my red panda with my laser eyes and my fire farts with
I
Jason
think
Momoa?
you no, because you're an adult who has self-control. I have 0
Mm,
power. I don't know. I don't know.
mm.
I don't know.
What
Maybe
about
maybe
Giada? She could cook. I wanna cook and, she could cook some stuff.
wait,
Giada?
who? Who?
You know Giada, the Italian chef lady with the short
Yeah.
arms.
Yeah, you do want a chef element. Oh. Well,
Giada De Laurentiis. Yeah, I love her, although she does have T-Rex arms a little
I
bit.
feel like you should be I think in this fictional world that we are in, we should be able to cycle out people whenever we want, depending
I
on the
shouldn't
battle.
have talked about her arms, you guys. She's just a small lady, okay? That was not very nice. I apologize, Giada. She's never gonna wanna drive my mech with me by saying something really not very kind about her
You want
body.
someone that can kill, giant aliens, but also is going to be a good, yin to your yang. You know what I mean? You need someone
Mhm.
to balance you out. I
Alright.
don't
I don't
know,
know who that would be. What does chat think? Let's look.
I mean, there's some good
Nigella Lawson. Yes.
guy
Guy Fieri.
versions.
No, no, no.
Then you just have a mech full of nachos. I mean,
No. Yeah, exactly. Joe Manganiello is no better than Jason Momoa. That's the
yeah,
same
they both are same with The Rock. That's too distracting.
too
I don't
distracting. Although I think The Rock for me, The Rock is less of a, less sexy. I just feel
maybe
like The Rock
maybe
would really
Tom
get
Har
this stuff done.
maybe Tom Hardy or Richard Armitage.
Tom Hardy doesn't seem pleasant.
Yeah, I don't know because you also have to think what are they like in real life as opposed to the characters that they play, right?
Okay, so if we're talking about the character of The Rock, 100%, he would save the day.
Yeah, don't choose Tom Cruise
No.
because Tom is gonna Timothy Oliphant, but again, distracting because I would just be like staring at him
Yeah.
all the time. I
What's he
gotta have
doing right now? What's Timothy Olyphant doing?
he's in a new series. I can't remember the name of it, but it's he's coming
Hmm.
up with a new series. Stanley Tucci, yes.
Oh, Stanley Tucci would be great in a mech.
Uh,
I think he's definitely metal. If I was
yeah,
gonna
and
do
Misha might not be bad. Misha might be good.
Misha would be really good,
Misha's
actually. I'm
pretty good.
thinking
Yeah.
Misha feels more water
Yeah.
metal, kind of.
Yeah.
I think that, Jared, Padalecki is probably
Just
wood.
don't put just don't put Lido. Just know
No, gross. I wouldn't even wanna be in a room with Jared Leto. He feels
no.
very difficult.
He would probably try to kill you while you're in the cockpit with him. Like, there would just
Mhm.
be a practical joke gone wrong.
Yeah,
That
he would, like, eject me out in the middle of a 100,
I interrupted you when you were Jensen and Jared talking, and that's bad. What were you gonna say?
no, I just think that Jared's all wood, and then Jensen's probably fire and metal. Like, I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
trying to, like now I'm, like, just having fun thinking about people and their dominant energies.
Was it Sam what's his name?
Donald Glover would be amazing.
Sam Sam Glover no, who's the picture that they just put in this? No, Sam
I don't
Sam
know who that
Rockwell.
is. Oh,
Sam
Sam Rockwell?
yeah.
I don't know. I'm
I
okay. I mean,
mean,
I'm pretty
Zach
neutral on Sam
Levi, yeah,
Rockwell.
I could see Zach Levi doing that. Though I heard something about Zach.
Oh, well, you gotta tell me off screen. Okay,
Uh,
well, thanks a lot. We're going to, wrap it up, y'all, and I
oh,
really
wait, do you
appreciate
wanna talk about the next book?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Bonnie picked out the next book. We're gonna let the chat pick out June. So June, I need everybody to suggest some books. I was thinking maybe a nonfiction book would be fun, but whatever you guys want, we will do a little polling at the Geeks Book Club Geeks Coiner channel. Please put your suggestions and even just a genre that you'd like to focus on, or maybe like I want to read something about Europe. I want to read some history about Europe or whatever. So please put your suggestions. But Bonnie has picked the next one, which I would never have picked, and I'm very excited to read it.
Yeah, it's called Convenience Store Woman, a novel by Sayaka Murata, and I loved it. And it's also cute. It's a cute little book. So if you like physical books instead of digital, I mean, it is available as an ebook, and I think it's audiobook as well. But if you like to actually have a physical book, it's a cute size and it's blue. So if you have
Cute.
color coded bookcases like I do, it will be in the blue section. But I really like the book. I think people will like it. And it got
Well,
a
I'm
ton of
excited about it.
awards. And Book Twitter and Bookstagram are all over it. So it got a lot of really good thumbs
Coverage.
up.
Yeah,
And
it was a bestseller. It looks really interesting. Hopefully, everyone can get at their libraries, and we have plenty of time to read for May. So we will see you at the last Tuesday of May. We will
yep.
have our next Live Geeks book club hangout. And if you are listening on the podcast feed, thank you so much. We have more podcasts coming. I will do a monthly interview with authors and my live felicitations once a month. Just let you know what I'm up to.
Yay.
Thanks a lot. See you later.